Hi, I wanted to touch base with you today and talk a little bit about grades. So, if you have received a grade that you are not satisfied with, I don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want you to be upset or frustrated. I grade really hard on first drafts because I believe that revision is where a lot of learning takes place. So, because I can't interact with you face to face and really challenge you to go deeper, deeper, deeper throughout the assignments online, these culminating projects are a chance where I can really push you. So, I've put in place the structure where you can revise. So, I give you feedback and you revise and you get those points back, okay? So, don't be frustrated about the points. That is just a way for me to provide more instruction and for you to take your learning to a deeper level. I also wanted to go over the project-based learning because I know some of you are already ready to submit. So there are several phases of thinking about when you are planning a project-based learning, problem-based learning, inquiry-based learning, 5 E's, whichever model you're using. And phase one is the confrontation with the problem. So it's connecting to students' lives. Think back about that short chapter, the chapter by short that we read, where she talked about how you connect the concept to the students' lives. And organize students for inquiries. So are they going to be working in groups? Are they going to be working individually? I will say that having students work individually is more work for you as the teacher. So while every student may be then able to follow their own line of interest, it means that you are then in charge of 26 inquiry projects all going on at the same time. If your students are working in groups, then you have 5 inquiries going on at the same time. So think about just the logistical requirements of what's going to be in the best interest of you and being able to provide feedback. So if you have them work in groups, then think back about our productive group work. Having independent roles for each person in the group can really help. So one person can be in charge of the, one person can be in charge. So they all do the gathering of the evidence and they all talk together to organize their explanation, but one can be in charge of the visual representation, one can be in charge of the written portion of it, one can be in charge of time management, or so they can have different roles like that. The data gathering, that can be library research where they're, doing an internet search or they're looking at books in the library, but it can also be an experiment. And it can be, think about social sciences. How we collect information in social science is through interviews or through surveys. So they can be doing original data collection of original data like interviews and surveys or experiments, or they can be doing library research. And this is where they're going to need a lot of scaffolding from the teacher. So in your plan, I want to see how you are chunking this instruction so that it's not all front loaded, but throughout the inquiry, you're stopping to give them the instruction that they need for this next phase. Okay, so same with formulated and explanation. How are you going to provide some structure or some scaffolding to help them with that? And make sure that there is some public sharing or displaying. So if you have 30, let's say you have them do individual questions and you have 30 kids in your class and then you want them all to present, think about your other students in that class. Are they going to really have an interest to be good listeners for 30 presentations on a question that they're not even interested about? So there's other ways, like I just talked to Jessica and she's thinking about a gallery walk or having them share in their tables. And so you can display the artifacts or the products in either like Kelsey has a digital portfolio where she shares her students' products and they can then their parents can see everything that they're doing as well. So you can think about outside audiences, outside of the classroom too, where they can share. And then you need to make sure that you have some assessments in place of the process and the product. So that can be criteria, or that can be a rubric, or whatever works for you needs to be part of the plan. And then if you look at the rubric, you'll see those things are on here. So the organized students for inquiry, data gathering, formulation, explanation. At the bottom is the confrontation with the problem. But then there's also relate to the curriculum. So one of the things about projects is that we don't want students just doing activity. That's one of the two sins that the integrating differentiated instruction book talked about, is that we don't want students just doing things for doing things sake. So this needs to be a project that is actually helping them learn the content. So I'd like for you to identify one standard, a couple standards if it's a multi-day. And then, as I mentioned, make sure that the teacher is relating this to the larger concepts, those big ideas that are connected to students' lives, so that they understand what the point of this is. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know.